Urgent calls to 911 certainly fall under the exigent condition clause within privacy laws. They consider that calls to 911 are, based on the purpose of the number, exigent in nature, and privacy is temporarily suspended in consideration for the sanctity of human life. But what about the expectation of privacy for other calls where these exigent conditions may exist?
Welcome to TiPS, Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Here's your host, Fletch, with today's tips.
Welcome to TiPS, Today in Public Safety on 911tips.com, your go-to podcast for everything public safety and emergency communications. I'm your host, Fletch, and I'm Vice President of Public Safety Solutions at 911 Inform. Today we're delving into the complexities surrounding emergency calls to special support lines, like the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, especially when these calls are made from office telephone systems. Understanding exigent circumstances and privacy. In emergency communications, exigent circumstances refer to situations that justify the immediate action by law enforcement without a warrant. These include scenarios where there's an urgent need to prevent physical harm, the destruction of evidence, or prevent a suspect's escape. When someone dials 911, the call is inherently considered exigent. The very nature of 911 implies an immediate need for assistance, allowing certain privacy protections to be bypassed in order to facilitate a swift response. But what about calls to other support lines like the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline? Do the same considerations apply here? The evolution of 988, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. The 988 Lifeline is a significant enhancement for mental health support in the United States. You can trace its origins back to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, originally established in 2005, which operated using a 10-digit number, 1-800-273-8255. Recognizing the need for a more accessible and memorable number, the Federal Communications Commission designated 988 as the new 3-digit dialing code for mental health crises. And the change was implemented nationwide by June 16, 2022. The primary goal of 988 was to simplify access to crisis services, ensuring that individuals in distress can quickly connect with trained counselors. Each year since its implementation, the Lifeline's experienced a substantial increase in contacts, reflecting its growing and important role in providing immediate support to those in need, balancing caller anonymity and emergency response. One of the cornerstones of the 988 service is the caller's ability to remain anonymous, revealing their identity and location only if they choose to. It was considered critical for this anonymity to be maintained for individuals seeking help so they could do so without fear of exposure. However, this presents a challenge when a caller is in immediate danger but cannot or does not disclose their location. To address this issue, the FCC initiated efforts to start routing 988 calls based on the device's location rather than the area code of the phone number. This was done since most calls came from mobile devices, and due to number portability and anonymity, location was never known. The approach was aimed to reconnect callers with local counselors who can provide relevant support. However, it raises concerns about privacy and about the potential for non-consensual interventions, exigent circumstances, and non-consensual interventions. In a situation where there's an imminent risk of harm, the principle of exigent circumstances may come into play. Crisis centers may share identifiable information in order to coordinate emergency interventions, even without the caller's consent, in an effort to preserve life. But while this approach can be life-saving, it sparked a heated debate, especially among marginalized communities who may fear law enforcement involvement. The ongoing debate. The tension between ensuring immediate assistance and respecting caller privacy is an ongoing debate. Advocates argue for consent-driven support models and emphasize the importance of autonomy and trust in crisis intervention. But on the other hand, the imperative to act swiftly in life-threatening situations often necessitates difficult decisions to be made. So the establishment of 988 marks a pivotal step towards strengthening the nation's mental health crisis response infrastructure. But as we navigate the complexities of privacy, exigent circumstances, and emergency response, it's crucial to continue the conversation, striving for solutions that respect individual rights but still ensure safety. Remember, if you or someone you know needs assistance, don't hesitate to act. Call 988 immediately to speak with a trained counselor who can provide the necessary support. That's it for today's episode of TiPS, Today in Public Safety on 911tips.com. If you found the discussion insightful, please subscribe and share it with your network. We always welcome your comments and topic suggestions for further episodes. Feel free to reach out anytime. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and remember, innovation is the key to saving lives. Thanks for listening. If you're in public safety, thanks for what you do every day. Stay safe and take care.
You've been listening to TiPS, Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Hosted by Fletch and available every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Catch past episodes, transcripts, and show notes with source links for each article on 911tips.com. That's 911tips.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and remember to join us each week for the latest on NG 911. I am Spider Harrison, the official 911 voiceover dude. Catch me on Sirius XM on various channels, including 90s on 9, the 10 spot, and on the Weekend Countdown on Hits 1. Or don't regret it for the rest of your life. Either way, I'm good. TiPS is brought to you by 911 Inform, the leading next-generation 911 solution for enterprise compliance with federal 911 regulations. Visit them on the web at 911inform.com. 911 Inform, making every second count when it matters the most.